Whether you've been grading for a long time or you're just looking at grading your first cards, there is some new updated information when it comes to PSA as far as price increases, turnarounds, and there's a little bit of a conspiracy theory going around that may actually save you some time and money. So I want to talk about all of that in this video. And we're going to start off first with, so this is gemrate.com, and they get these numbers off of the pop reports that are updated every day. And there is a little asterisk by PSA because theirs is like technically a day behind. So this is technically 2 days ago for PSA. But these are the major grading companies that have their pop reports, and it just gives you a little bit of an idea of how many cards are being graded by these companies, which I just thought was some actually really fascinating information. And you can see PSA is the leader, right? A lot of people use PSA. You'll see behind me I have mostly PSA slabs. I grade mostly with PSA. We'll talk about why that is in a minute, but they're the market shareholder, right? And they graded almost 63,000 cards. Yes, technically 2 days ago, but we're for the sake of this video, we're gonna say yesterday. Down 1% from the day before, right? In the next highest, CGC at 17,000, SGC at 6,000, and Becca at 3.6 thousand. Now, if you do the math, roughly, just for it to be interesting, PSA just upped their pricing, which is one of the main things I wanted to talk about for the most affordable tier, right? Which is right here. We'll talk about this. It's around $19 per card, going up. It was $16.99. Now it's $18.99. Now, if you take that and you multiply it by that number of cards, that's just under $1.2 million per day of card grading when you put a monetary value on it. Now, the other thing that you have to think about is they have all these other tier options, right? All the way up to $600 per card. And they like to do it by card value, and they can upcharge you, right? So even if you submit here, if they think your card is worth more after it's been graded, they're going to upcharge you. So that is a thing, plus or minus, at least if they're upcharging you, it is worth it because the card is worth more. So if you're newer to grading, I'll give you a quick example real quick. This is the Charizard from 151. Currently, I think it's around like 230, 225-ish raw. If you hit a 10, it's bumps it up to around $800. So monetarily, if you're looking to sell that card, you can make money that way. If you're looking to just up the value of your collection, that's a reason you would want to grade. So not only does it up the value, but it also protects the card from damage, and there's UV resistance, and right, it prevents it from being scratched, right? And then you kind of know, it makes it easier to sell or trade because you know the condition of the card, right? So they upped the price, and then they also upped the turnaround time. And these are kind of what I wanted to touch on. A lot of people will grade, with the most affordable option, right? It makes the most sense, especially for lower dollar cards. Even right now at these prices, even before, there was a lot of cards that maybe you might want to get graded, but it's not really worth it even at this price point, the lowest price point, just because if it's not as expensive of a card, it's not really worth putting the money in to grade. A few things to note: you have to have a 20 card minimum when you're sending with PSA, and this is going to come into the conspiracy theory in a second. So just hear me out. 20 card minimum for this price point, and then the 65 business days. That's over 3 months. There's about 20 business days per month, give or take, depending on how it ends up, right? So they upped it from 45 business days to 65 business days and increased the time. So price and time going up, and you have to send 20 card minimum. So it's a little bit unfortunate, and also you'll notice right here too. Here's the other thing: Collectors Club only. So you do have to pay an additional yearly membership to even get access to this. Otherwise, you're looking at $25 a card. You can see obviously this is only supposed to be up to a $200 value, then $500 value, right? And then the more expensive you go, the more expensive the card is. And you can see 20 business days, 15 business days, 10 business days, right? And it goes up and up and up, right? So PSA making a lot of money. Obviously, they are a business, but when you start to look at this pricing and you start to look at the 65 business days, now The business days is an issue for a few reasons, right? Because I don't mind waiting, but this is more of an issue with sports cards, but it does play a factor in Pokemon. Like an athlete can get hurt and his prices can drop, and so like if you have cards that are tied up at PSA, or like for example, they're going to the playoffs or whatever. So that's why I said a lot of that is sports, but Pokemon cards can drop definitely within a 3 month window, right? They can also rise in value in a 3 month window. So when you have a card or a newer set comes out, right, like Journey Together, there's a lot of Journey Together singles that are dropping, right? So if you submitted, the average person, right, you pull a card on release, you send it out, you're not going to get that back for over 3 months, right? And then that card could have tanked in value potentially. So that's one of the major downsides of these increased times. So you're paying more and you're waiting longer. So that's a little bit of a negative, right? And then here's the thing: you have to pay the collector's club, right? So 150 a year is the minimum. You can pay 200 a year, right? There are some benefits. Right, you do get a PSA magazine subscription, which sometimes can actually offset this cost. We'll talk about that. It can negate that cost. And I have some specific examples of what that is and how that can actually pay, or you can actually make money off of this membership depending on what you have. So that is interesting there. But let's get to the conspiracy. And this was something that was addressed. I had a live stream the other day with Nick Pokey Plumber. He was on and he was talking about how he has a submission at PSA that's been there since I believe it was January, and we're in like middle of April. And PSA has a contract with GameStop and that you could submit through GameStop. I actually think this is a great thing, right, for people who are looking to get into grading, because you can see, it's same price, right, $18.99. If you're a pro member, you don't have to pay the shipping. It doesn't say anything about 20 card minimum, so you can send one card, two cards, right? You can send a little amount of cards. So this is for TCG pricing right here. And it does say 65 business day turnaround now. But something that we noticed, there was a few people commenting that said that they had submitted through GameStop and that they were getting their cards back quicker. So I don't know what the details are, and that's why it's a little conspiracy theory, uh, ish, right? Is that people were theorizing that they're putting the GameStop orders before other orders so that they've been going through ahead. And that would be very interesting. Like I said, I don't know what the details of the contract are as far as like if they get prioritization or what any of that works, but I do know this. This is still long, so if you're gonna submit through PSA to grade, that GameStop might be a good option just because you might get priority in the queue as far as turnaround time. So you might not be waiting this 65 business day. You're paying the same price, but you don't have to pay the membership. Now, I also understand that some people would probably want to be like, oh, I don't trust GameStop. I've seen that a lot. Like, I don't trust GameStop with my cards, especially expensive cards, and I do understand that to a certain extent. But just making you guys aware that this is an option. It's much more affordable. You can send less cards, so that's what I do like for people who want to get into grading. It is a great option. You can just send a few. Like I said, if you have the pro membership already too, and there's some issues with GameStop and Pokemon cards right now as well. We're not going to go super deep into that issue. That's kind of a separate thing. But if you're looking to grade cards, I do think that this is a good option. And so that's kind of the conspiracy theory of it. It's unfortunate that PSA upped their price and the turnaround time. And we did see times and prices go up around COVID. And it was really bad, like really bad. Some people were waiting like a year to get their cards back. It was pretty wild. Obviously, we're very far off from a year currently, but we're starting to see things go up as far as turnaround time. So it's a little bit unfortunate, and like I said, this price point starts to like make it not worth to grade a lot of cards. And the other thing too is like we have seen some chase cards right now in Pokemon start to go down in value, whether that's like the Surging Sparks Pikachu, the 151 Charizard, the Bubble Mew, right? A lot of those cards going down in value right now. So that does play a factor, and like a lot of people I could understand are holding off on grading, right? So if you want to wait, it makes more sense. Wait till the turnaround times go down, and then you can submit when you have a better time to expect them to come back, right? So it's kind of like, let me know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments too, like where you're at. Did you submit with GameStop? How long did it take, roughly from the time you submitted to the time that you got it back? So yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate if they're prioritizing that, but maybe you can try and use that to your example. So yeah, that's kind of the little bit of the conspiracy, and I think it's unfortunate, that they're increasing their prices and their turnaround time. But if they're getting they are a business. If they're getting overloaded with more orders, it is hard to you can't just expand overnight. You have to rent a facility, buy a facility. There's equipment needed. Then you need to hire people, right? And so there's a lot of work when it comes to expanding. You have to train them, because PSA grades, they don't, a person actually grades it. So they have to train those people. They have to try to get consistency, which I know there is also some frustration with PSA in general too, that is just with like resubmitting. Some people have joked, PSA please submit again, and a little bit of inconsistency with human error and stuff like that when it comes to grades. And they're not the only grading company. Like you said, we talked about some of the other ones earlier. BGS, Beckett does do some really cool stuff with the black labels. I do think that that's super cool. I think if you have a card that looks really great, BGS is the way to go because of the pristine black labels. Right, they're such higher value. They're so harder to hit, and this is kind of what we're seeing from BGS. $15 per card, or 18, no subgrades or with subgrades, and you're seeing 45-day turnaround, business days. So similar-ish, but a little bit different. Obviously in BGS, offering the subgrades is something that I do like a lot. I do think that that's really cool because then like why your card got what it got, and it helps understand. You could still get like a 10 here on this guy. The only thing that was off was centering was off just a tiny bit. Otherwise, it would have gotten a pristine. So there's different aspects to the different companies as far as that goes. But PSA is the big dog in the market, and most people are grading with them for the most part because of monetary value. Like I said, if you hit black labels with Beckett, then that's massive. It's just harder to do. PSA doesn't offer a pristine. CGC offers a pristine now. So, there's a lot to it, but for the most part, people do choose PSA, and the collectors, for the most part, including myself, are going to continue to go with PSA moving forward, especially people who are already entrenched. Like me, you see these slabs behind, they're mostly all PSA on the wall. You'll see a few that aren't, but I'm working towards moving all my stuff to PSA. That's just kind of where it's at right now. The other thing, as far as the membership goes, I did want to talk about this real quick. So you get the magazine, and this is a card right here. This Boa Hancock, which is a one-piece card that came from the magazine, and they've done a few of these. Right? They did a Monkey D. Luffy one, and they've done also like you can get numbered. Some of the magazines are like numbered, like limited to like 1 out of 500 or 1 out of 100, however many. So you have a chance to get like a rare magazine. And, obviously, so this is a PSA 10. Somebody graded this right here, and it sold for 230. There was another one down here. We don't know, this was crossed out, but this one went for bids at 230 right here. So there's an opportunity to make money back. You don't have to grade them either. You can just sell, like, here's a recent sale. This is as of this morning. The magazine and the card, somebody sold for 75. You got the card right here for 46. So, that is kind of cool, right? And if you like One Piece, keep the card. Like I still have this card and the Monkey D. Luffy card. I kept those. And the magazines are cool to a certain extent. I think that some of the information in there isn't, magazines not the best way of information these days, and but I like looking at the magazines, and I do think that they're cool to have. Like the one that just came in is a Mewtwo one. I haven't even opened it yet, but that is cool, right? So you can get and they have TCG or sports. So if you're more into sports, you can pick the sports magazine or the TCG stuff, which is Pokemon, One Piece, Yu-Gi-Oh, whatever, all of that. stuff. So that's kind of what we're dealing with when it comes to the PSA, the price increase. So consider going to GameStop for especially if you're doing lower numbers. And not everyone grades, right? I acknowledge that, right? Like a lot of people just collect in their binders, and there's nothing wrong with that at all too either. Like I collect both. I do like it adds a different level of collecting. It's a very slippery slope if you're newer. Um, just because it's much more expensive to collect graded cards, obviously, especially once you start getting into tens. If you can be happier with nines, then you'll have more cards in your collection because they tend to go for around raw pricing ish, depending, right? Depending on, especially for like modern stuff, sometimes it can be raw or even less for a 9, the 10 is where they really go up in value. So if you can be happy with that in your collection, or not collecting graded, then you'll have a much bigger collection. And that's just the truth. But I like the graded aspect. It is fun to submit, especially when you start getting into it and you start looking. You do your pre-grades and you go, okay, I think this is a 9. I think this is a 10. And then when you're right, it does feel really good. And obviously, it feels good to have your collection, go up in value, right, as well. So in summary, I just wanted to talk about that a little bit as an issue, and then hopefully just making some people aware, right? Because also, I don't think everyone is aware that there was a price increase, that there was a turnaround time increase, and that there are other options that could potentially be faster with GameStop. So, yeah, and I also think it's interesting too to understand how many cards are being graded. So that little chart that we talked about at the beginning with PSA, CGC, SGC, and Beckett, and there are other card grading companies out there besides those four as well that are grading. But I do think it's actually fascinating just to see how many cards they're moving through in a day. So yeah, in a 30-day window, you're looking at, I do have it still pulled up here. You guys can't see it right now, but PSA in the last 30 days, 1.5 million cards, which is absolutely insane. Yeah, so that's wild. But yeah, that's what we're looking at as far as grading. And yeah, so price increase I think is unfortunate, and the turnaround time I don't think it's good. But PSA, like I said, they are the market shareholder, and people are going to continue to use them until maybe something changes and there's a better alternative. But right now, they can do that. They can just up. They get backlogged. They can just up the price, slow down how many people are submitting, and also increase the turnaround time until they can get caught up. There was a point, last year where PSA was pretty quick. It was going pretty good as far as turnaround times and stuff. So, and they were doing specials, and so there was some cheaper pricing to be had. So there was some better time. So it's a little bit of like I said, the double-edged sword when it comes to these long grading times. And I know a lot of people are waiting. And like I said, Pokey Plumber, unfortunately, he's still waiting, and he's still not even in the grading phase. He's still in the research and ID. And anyways, they can sit there for a while, and then they have to ship it, right? So it can be frustrating. It can also be exciting. But this is just an interesting thing to talk about. I'm rambling, so I think I'm going to end it here. If you guys want to enter, we're doing a giveaway. Should be popping up here if you want to click that video and enter the giveaway. But that's all I have for this one, guys. I know it's a little different. We don't talk a ton about grading, even though I enjoy it. But I did think it was some relevant information for you guys. So hopefully you found it helpful. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. And remember, it was never a phase.